Hello and welcome to another Infinity N5 battle report for ITS-17. I will change my video format going forward. Since I have been doing battle reports for my tournaments and not casual games, I thought it would be better to do a mission briefing first before the tournament and followed by a battle report after the tournament. I have decided to do this based on feedback from the guys here in the Western Australian Infinity community, and I also intend to promote Western Australian Infinity more. So, this video will be a mission briefing for the next upcoming tournament, Dawn Raiders 2026. Dawn Raiders will be a 3-round event held over 2 days, starting from the 16th and finishing on the 17th of May. It is a registered tournament, but conducted in a casual manner. Proceeds from the tickets will help fund a player from Western Australia to attend Border Bash 2026, which will be held in Albury, New South Wales. So far, 8 players have registered for the event, including myself. The missions for this tournament are taken from the Border Bash lineup. The aim is to help prepare some of the players here for when they attend Border Bash in June. More practice reps to finalise their list builds and how to play the missions. The missions for Dawn Raiders is Unmasking, which has been modified with radar deployment zones and to align with ITS-17, and Superiority and Cutthroat as per the current ITS season. First mission is Unmasking. This has been redesigned for the Border Bash tournament in June. It features radial deployment zones, which add a nice change to the mission. And the main objectives is similar to the missions from previous seasons and has no classified objectives. The deployment zone is 24 inches with a 4-inch exclusion zone measured from the corner of the table. The scenario-specific rules include Designated Target. This means that once an enemy HVT has been revealed by activating a console, the enemy HVT becomes an enemy trooper. It has its own attributes and can declare attacks when a player tries to kill it. Subterfuge means out of the 3 HVTs a player deploys, 1 is the designated target, while the remaining 2 are target decoys. The main goal is to kill the enemy designated target. Operational learning is added to help assist when activating the consoles. It allows specialist troopers to add mods to their whip roll when attempting to activate a console. For a second order, trying to activate a console, the player adds a +3 to the specialist whip roll, and failing that, for each subsequent order, a player adds +3 to the whip and +1 special dice to the roll. A short funny story. When testing this during our casual games, a player spent 1 regular order to move into silhouette contact with 1 console and failed the rip roll while rolling over 13. Spending a second order and performing idle with an added +3 to the whip roll, the player failed again, rolling over 16. He spent a third order, this time with +3 whip and +1 special dice, and still failed by rolling 2 20s. The fourth and final order succeeded. So if the dice are going badly, it still takes 4 orders to push a button. This was just an example that Murphy's Law does exist when something that can go wrong will go wrong. Second mission is Superiority, a direct action mission. The main objective is to dominate more quadrants than your opponent every round. The scenario specific rules include quadrants, which means the midfield is divided into 4 quadrants, and a player must have more army points inside it than the opponent to consider that quadrant dominated. Shasvasti allows troopers with a Shasvasti skill to be considered able to provide points even if the troopers are in a null state. Baggage simply means that a remote with a baggage special skill adds 20 extra army points when that model is inside a quadrant. Operational learning is added to assist specialists when activating a console. Key Ops allows 1 trooper after deployment and in initiative order to gain Dodge +3 and Tactical Awareness special skills. And finally, Dominate Key Ops, meaning that a Key Ops not in a null state and inside a quadrant dominates that zone and scores another objective point. Cutthroat is another direct action mission and the last one for the tournament. This is a simple gunfight mission. Kill more enemy troopers and lieutenants. Scenario special rules are reinforced tactical link, which means the lieutenant is open information and the death of the lieutenant does not cause an army to enter loss of lieutenant state. but you still have to select another lieutenant as per normal. Keops allows a trooper to gain the Dodge +3 and Tactical Awareness special skills, and the Keops scores objective points if it is given to a trooper that wants to do a lot of fighting. No Quarter allows armies not to enter the retreat state, so a player can keep fighting until the very last model. A very simple mission and a good one to end the tournament on. Now I'll go through some lists I think may be suitable for the tournament. So this is my first list, and this is just the standard ITS list that I've accumulated over the previous tournaments. As you can see, it consists of a core fire team of Hospitallers, with Deferson as the lieutenant with a Spitfire, so he's the main multi-role trooper, shooter specialist, supported by 2 Hospitallers, one with a boarding shotgun and emitter to help provide isolated state to vehicles, tags, remotes, and troopers, and the Hospitaller with Timbot Firewall -3 to protect Deferson. I'm still not sure whether I should make Deferson the lieutenant and the active shooter, because it does, I don't mind him being the lieutenant, but being the active shooter, it probably puts him in a vulnerable position because he's going to be shooting, so he will receive a lot more opportunity to take wounds. So I may change it up. We'll see how it comes closer to the tournament. The list is supported by Order Sergeant Harris, consisting of a Black Friar with +1 Thunderbolt, a Curator with an armed turret with a marksman rifle, and Brother Konstantinos. I really like this Harris. It sort of performs very well. It's a very solid utility Harris. The Curator and Brother Konstantinos count as Order Sergeant, so it's a level 2 Harris, giving the Black Friar +1 special die when he attacks. Curator is there to move him up into the midfield and can help counsel states closer instead of just having him sit back in the deployment zone. Having the armed turret is also useful, just to plonk on a building or anywhere behind cover that can cover a few fire lanes, because it is a TR, total reaction 360-degree visor turret, and is just another useful piece of equipment to annoy my opponent. Konstantinos is the utility piece. He's a specialist operative, and he has a disco baller, deactivator, and a sensor, so he can achieve quite a lot and provides a lot of vision control and coverage to the board. He also has MSV level 1 and Mimeters -3, so he's a very good specialist to be in the midfield and pushing buttons. And I've always found the Black Friar with a Thunderbolt to be better than the Heavy Rocket Launcher, because the Heavy Rocket Launcher is an ARO piece, and ARO pieces are always the main threat and are targeted, whereas having the Black Friar Thunderbolt +1 burst, it becomes my backup or alternative attack gun. And I found that having MSV2 and Albedo -6 is just really good, and running him forward as a secondary gun to take out those difficult troopers with MSV actually provides a lot more force projection to the list. The standard 2 Trinitarians, this one with a deployable repeater and one with a shock mine, but both mine layer, again just to help boost Deferson's range, hacking network, and just to have an alternative to all those midfield light, medium, and skirmish infantry that happen to push forward. Group 2 is rounded out by a level 2 duo with a Crozier multi-sniper rifle mine layer and the Knight Commander. The Knight Commander counts as a Crozier, so he just gives that +1 special die to the sniper, and that's really useful in active and reactive. Infermer on the boarding shotgun. The Infermer moves 6'2", so if I do need to push troopers in forward, then he's a better choice. And the Crusader with multi-rifle light flamethrower is my flanking piece and problem solver. My second list for the tournament, not the actual second list, but like I've created 4, so this is my second idea. I was thinking of having 2 shooter specialist duos push forward, supported by the Harris. So the Harris is the usual Harris that I normally run. No change there. The Trinitarian's the same. Obviously the Fugazi Drumbot is added here for orders, and the 2 duos are both the Hospitaller duos, and one consists of the HMG, who will be the lieutenant, paired up with Hawkins, who will be the specialist. And the second duo is Deferson with the Spitfire, who's also a shooter specialist combo, backed up and supported by the Hospitaller with the emitter. So both of these can push forward, claim objectives, namely built around superiority and unmasking. They're heavy enough to move forward, to take any gunfights and activate consoles. And Group 2 is rounded out with a Trinitarian multi-sniper rifle and the Knight Commander chain of command. The Knight Commander will probably be Hollow Masters, maybe a Teutonic Knight Lieutenant. And the Trinitarian multi-sniper rifle, I've been practicing with it a bit, and I like the idea of pushing it forward into the midfield and taking those fire lanes that were not thought of. So this will be probably a good list for unmasking, because the midfield has a lot of range and has a lot of distance, and if there's a high building or tower, I can infiltrate him onto that building and look at certain lines of fire and just be that uh-oh moment for my opponent when I reveal and use it to take out his troopers. And I've been testing the Trinitarian multi-sniper rifle, and I do like that idea of being in the midfield, having a flanking fire, and just shooting my opponent's enemies behind cover. My third list idea, this consists of a core of Croziers with a Knight Commander +1 Lieutenant order, and it's all to fuel the Teutonic Knight missile launcher. And in here I have 2 Crozier with Blitzens to be alternative arrow pieces, and I have the Crozier HMG with MSV2 to be a backup attack piece. So if I need to, I can push forward the first 3 Croziers as a small 3-person core later in the game. This is mainly supporting the attacking Harris, which consists of a Crux Knight, supported by 2 Order Sergeants, Konstantinos and the Curator. The Curator there will be to help cancel any states, because the Crux Knight will be a very important target for my opponent. And Konstantinos is there for the Specialist, the Crux Knight's the Shooter, and Konstantinos just brings Disco Ballers, Sensors, Min -3, and MSV level 1, so it's a bit of a good utility attack piece, and I'd like to try this one out. I haven't run this list yet. It'd be good to practice it and see how it goes. And to round out Group 1, just the Evo bot, sorry, not Evo bot, the baggage bot, just to automatically reload those Blitzens if they run out, and the Fugazi just to provide some extra orders, and supported by, well, Group 2 will be a separate attack piece. It is a duo consisting of the Teutonic Knight NCO Spitfire and supported by Mendoza, the FTO version. And I really want to give Mendoza a run. I do find he's probably a very good or a better version of Wolfgang Amadeus, with his continuous attack for both ballistic skill and close combat attacks. So it'd be really nice to test that and push him out. And basically the 3 orders in that group, the duo plus the Trinitarian, we'll give him the 3 orders, and the 2 Lieutenant orders will help push the Teutonic Knight to help push Mendoza into the midfield and forward, just to be another strong attack piece. So that group will have 5 orders to help push Mendoza up and do a bit of damage. So this looks like a fun list to play as well, and who knows, maybe it could just be the cutthroat list. And finally, my 4th list for the tournament. This was inspired by the Loss of Lieutenant podcast, talking about trying to develop lists with troopers that have chain of command non-specialist, and they were mainly talking about William Wallace, and I thought maybe I could do the same for Joan of Arc. Now, unfortunately, I don't think the same idea could apply that they applied to their podcast for William Wallace, but in this instance I'm using Joan of Arc more as a strong attack assault piece and not her option as a lieutenant. So a lot of the skills become redundant in this regard, such as inspiring leadership, but Joan of Arc version 2 has a very good range of weapons and equipment and skills to be a very threatening piece in the midfield. So I've chosen the chain of command version. She'll be the main active shooter fighter for this Harris, supported by a Teutonic Knight Specialist Operative to help bring him into the midfield, and he can separate off Impetuous and move towards and do his own thing, be another CC attacker, and also claim objectives in the midfield. And I have the Infirmera here to just back up both of those, and if Joan happens to take a wound or two and go unconscious, then at least the Infirmary can bring her back up and keep her running forwards. This again is supported by a corps of Croziers with the Knight Commander +1 Lieutenant order, and just a Blitzen and Paramedic Crozier, and the Paramedic Crozier will be there to just keep the Titanic Knight missile launcher up and running. And I've decided to add the Knight of the Holy Sepulchre NCO with AP Heavy Machine Gun. He is another solid heavy attack piece, and something else that my opponent will have to deal with and worry about. And the Holy Sepulchre has Warhorse, so he's basically pretty durable, quite a threatening trooper. And he has Hollow Projector, so he has a couple of echoes, so he definitely can do some shenanigans in the midfield. And I'd like to run the Knight of Montesa for deployment +8 with the Spitfire drop bears. It's just another alternative attack piece. Run around, throw out some drop bears. They are impetuous, so you can, in the first step of the orders, impetuous him up, throw a few drop bears, and place a few drop bears, I should say, and just be another useful, annoying attack piece for my opponent. Supported by 2 Trinitarians. One will be a killer hacker to push forward and defeat any opponent's hackers, because this list is very vulnerable to hacking. And a Fugazi just to round out the orders. And I know it's limited, and this may not be the final position for the fire teams. Maybe I'll split it up a bit more evenly. Maybe just push the Trinitarians both in group 2 and just have them there. It depends. I just created this list just to try out the idea of having a chain of command non-specialist Joan of Arc, so I may be able to play around with it a bit more. So that's the mission briefing for the Dawn Raiders 2026, and then I will do the battle report once the tournament has been completed. So thank you for watching, and as always, the dice decide the outcome.